It's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
All right, let's get it rolling. Here on a Tuesday, Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. Lots of OU football and recruiting to talk about. For those of you that aren't listening to the baseball game, and I have to confirm, please let us know on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line if you are actually listening to our show today. Because the only way you're hearing us right now is on the KREF app. So if you are logged into the app on the alternate stream where we are airing, please let us know. We may be shouting into the void for the next hour, for all I know, Grayson. But we're going to shout to the best of our abilities into the void for the next hour. And we will keep you up to speed on what's happening between Oklahoma and Kentucky down in the SEC baseball tournament in Hoover. Sooners lead that one 3-1 after 3 innings, a 2-run homer from Jason Walk. The big swing thus far for the Sooners. So updates to follow in that regard. This show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Family owned and operated, offering Buicks and GMCs, which are obviously some of the best trucks and SUVs on the road. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians and friendly service advisors that put your needs first. And they had half-price oil changes on Saturdays, which is a pretty smoking deal. So Dorsey Jones, Buick GMC, check them out. Thanks to them for their sponsorship of today's show. We have many a listener that has already chimed in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, letting us know that they are tapped in with us, including 4-Star Shark, who said, "Tune in to the Deuce Ref." Ref, yes. 1400, the Ref 2, the Deuce.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It sounds a little. It sounded a little too ambiguous.
It sounded better in your head.
It did sound better in my head than it does coming out of my mouth. No question about that. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line if you want to interact with us throughout the show. We will get to a bunch of your texts, as we do every single day here on the Ref. So you got questions, fire them at us. I think the natural place to start here on this fine Tuesday afternoon, Grayson, is with the conversation that's just not going away and won't go away for a while. And that is the conversation surrounding the quarterback picture for Oklahoma in the 2026 class. Jaden O'Neal is currently committed to the Sooners, has been since last June. 4-star quarterback originally from Harbor City, California, recently transferred within state lines to Mustang, Oklahoma. However, the Sooners have been pushing hard and successfully for 4-star quarterback Bo Bentley out of Salina, Texas. OU is in the final 2 for Bentley alongside LSU. So, the angle that we have presented for some time, or I guess the reality that we have presented for some time, is that in all likelihood, if Bo Bentley winds up committing to the University of Oklahoma, Jaden O'Neal is not going to end up in the class. Now, I will say this, the Sooner staff has not conceded the possibility that they might be able to accommodate both and that they might be able to convince both to coexist in the class at Oklahoma. They went in home with Jaden O'Neal last night, Grayson, which is one of those things that you can do during a contact/evaluation period. You can go see a kid at his house, sit down with his family, all that good stuff. And that's what several members of the Oklahoma staff did last night. Not just Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator, but Emmett Jones, Todd Bates, and Joe John Finley as well. So over a third of the Oklahoma staff was in Jaden O'Neal's living room last night, trying to convince the 4-star quarterback commit from up in Mustang that he should remain locked in with the Sooners regardless of the outcome in the Bentley recruitment. Now, I will say this, Grayson. By all accounts, everything I've heard, it went well, surprisingly well, when the Sooners went in home with Jaden O'Neal last night. And look, I'm still going to have to be convinced that you can get Jaden O'Neal and Bo Bentley both signed to the University of Oklahoma in December. But I think there's a sense of optimism internally that possibility is very much on the table, even if folks like you and I do not see it as such.
I guess it's still on the table, and Jaden O'Neal is a better person than I am if that meeting went well. Because from where I sit, if you're going to we've chronologized the entire storyline. We don't need to relitigate that whole thing. Mm-hmm. But if I'm committed to you and you go and you're going after somebody who is my same caliber in my same class, and you've shown that you have some sort of a preference to him, I would be asking a lot of hard questions. Here's what I think happened. I think, and I'm going to give Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, and the whole contingent credit for this. If that meeting went well and Jaden O'Neal is still interested to the point where some people still think it's a possibility they can reel in both, there was some transparent conversations. There was some very transparent things because I think Jaden O'Neal asked questions that forced transparency. And if that meeting went well, the coaching staff responded maturely. Jaden O'Neal responded maturely. So I do think there is a lot of good that can come out of this. However, if I'm still Jaden O'Neal, I'm still like, what do you really think of me? Do you really think I'm a fit for you? If you're going out and getting a guy that some might consider better, you might consider better, and you certainly consider more preferential. So, again, he's a better person than I am, but look, if they can accommodate too, I guess everybody wins for the moment. I don't know long term if everybody wins. I can tell you this for sure, and I would bet a large chunk of money on this. If they both end up in the class, they both don't end up staying multiple seasons.
Oh, no.
I can next to guarantee that.
Let me ask you this. Put yourself in Jaden O'Neal's shoes. What is the one question above all the others that you feel like you need answered in that in-home visit? What is the one most pertinent question that you are posing to the Oklahoma staff about the situation?
It's two questions in one.
Okay.
Where do I fit, and what the hell do you think of me? What do you think? Do you think I'm better than Bo or not? Do you think I'm a better fit than Bo or not?
And what's the answer you're looking for? I mean, obviously, like, realistically speaking, like, they're not going to say, oh, you're so much better than Bo. We'd so much rather have you than him, because that's obviously not true,
I mean,
right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have offered
that would be
Bo
a
Bentley.
crazy level of glaze in there.
Yeah, but realistically, what's the answer you're looking for?
I don't know. And I think that's what makes the question so pertinent is that you don't really know what you're looking for. You're really, and we talked about this yesterday when it comes to feel, you're really trying to see, are they going to make you feel like you're actually part of this lineage of quarterbacks that's going to start this season with John Mateer, probably continue with Michael Hawkins, and then ultimately end up in one of these two. You want to know if you're a part of that, and if they can say that without talking through their teeth.
Brian and Bixby on the text line said, Joe John was there. That's it. He gone. Hey, listen, the Joe John Finley redemption arc may be materializing before our very eyes. We'll discuss that more in a little bit. But, yes, Joe John Finley was there. Ben Arbuckle was there. Emmett Jones was there. And interestingly enough, Todd Bates was there. Which, like, in and of itself seems weird. Like, why is the defensive line coach showing up for an in-home meeting with your quarterback commit? But Todd Bates is very highly regarded for his recruiting acumen and his people skills, which definitely, like, those are the types of things that come in handy when you're dealing with a somewhat contentious situation with a kid that you've had committed for darn near 11 months.
You don't say.
So, Doug in Norman, for being his age, is an outstanding consumer of media. This man has it down to a science. Doug and Norman on the text line says, listening to you and Grayson on the app, listening to Toby on the regular channel, while watching the game on the SEC network. Doug, you're a more impressive human being than I, because I could not focus on 3 different feeds at the exact same time.
Dude, I can't even get my dad, who was about a decade younger than Doug. I can't even get my dad to figure out how to log into my HBO Max account so he can watch the Eastern Conference Finals. Because he's called me God knows how many times throughout the playoffs. He's like, wait, you say I can watch it? Yes, just go to Max. It's on the home screen of the TV. It's already logged in. Just go there and click on sports.
It really, like, for people of that generation, man, it really is. It just boils down to, I don't even know. Like, it's completely random as to which of them grasp technology versus which of them don't. Like, this plays out on a very regular basis with my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side. They're mid-70s, and my grandmother is very sharp when it comes to that stuff. Like, she's had an iPhone for probably well over a decade now. She's on Instagram. She's on Snapchat. Like, she keeps tabs on everything, knows everything that's going on, knows how to navigate social media, doesn't post like an old person either. And then my grandfather's just kind of like the polar opposite, right? Like, he's an analog guy for the most part. Has an iPhone, but it takes some effort for him to operate it efficiently and effectively.
I say my dad's got it. We just got my dad his first iPhone for Christmas. By the way, shout out to my pops. His 63rd birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday, Pops.
We do have a super chat, by the way, on our YouTube.
Let's hear it.
SBC Bates says, "Fear not, JJF is on it."
SBC Bates?
Yeah. Baits.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, is that Todd Bates' burner in the YouTube chat? Be hilarious.
No, I think bait is in fish bait. I think that's how that's spelled.
So let's spin this into a conversation for the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, because we're already getting some answers. I didn't address this question in the text line, but I might as well. Like, if you're Jaden O'Neal right now, what's the message you need to hear from Oklahoma and that staff in order to stay locked in with them, come what may, with Bo Bentley? This listener in the 405 says, OU thinks you, Jaden, are good enough to compete. We want you to come in and do that. You're great for Oklahoma. We also think Bo is good for Oklahoma. It makes the university better that you both come in and compete with each other. That's effective messaging for the most part. You just have to convince the kid. And what's hard, the hardest thing, I think, the hardest hurdle that Oklahoma has to clear in this whole ordeal is shaking the notion and the perception that Bo Bentley is Ben Arbuckle's guy, right? Because there's no real way you can shake that perception entirely. O'Neal committed 6 months before Arbuckle showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether there is any element of truth to it or not, the perception amongst some folks is always going to be that O'Neal is merely a guy that Arbuckle inherited. He doesn't really want him. He's just honoring his commitment because he has to, or he feels like he has to, right? And again, that's the type of deal where you have to be willing to be honest and transparent with the kid and trust that he's going to take you at his word, because it's impossible to completely dispel that notion.
Right.
Impossible.
But here's the thing, too. And that's a really good pitch from the 405, but here's what you left out. How does Jaden O'Neal develop and get to the field? You left out that part, is what's in it for him. You said you make the university better, sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately that's the coach's job, to win games for the university, but where does Jaden O'Neal fit into this? Because if you and I have recognized that Bo Bentley seems to be the little brother of John Mateer, who Ben Arbuckle just led to his best year in college football, you don't think Jaden O'Neal knows that? Or at least some people who are talking and advising Jaden O'Neal, they know that too. So that's the hurdle you're going to have to clear, is that whether or not you say that, hey, we've got a plan for you, you're going to fit, it's impossible to get past the fact that the quarterback that Ben Arbuckle just brought over and the guy that Ben Arbuckle is recruiting literally look like carbon copies of each other. And Jaden O'Neal, now, if Jaden O'Neal had that same similar play style, okay, now you've got something. But Jaden O'Neal does not. Jaden O'Neal is a more traditional pro-style quarterback, whereas the other two, Mateer and Bentley, are dual-threat guys. Mm-hmm. So there's the dichotomy right there.
Spartan Sooner on the text line says, I got to meet Todd Bates after TU 2 years ago. I see why he's on so many recruiting visits. Dude is the best. Yeah, and I know there are a lot of people that would argue that Todd Bates's poetry, his rhymes on social media are kind of corny, and I guess they can be interpreted that way. But regardless of what you see on social media and how you interpret that from Todd Bates, the reality is he has been incredibly successful as a recruiter. Incredibly successful. And you have to be a really good people person in order to be an effective recruiter. Either that or you just have to be successful enough that your personality doesn't matter.
That too.
And there's kind of a natural example right there on the OU staff with somebody like Bill Bedenbaugh, right? Like that. What everybody will tell you about Bill Bedenbaugh is that you really have to crack his shell. You have to break through the shell before he kind of opens up to you as a person. Otherwise, he's going to seem a little bit prickly at first.
I mean, just look at the pictures he takes with recruits. He seems like smiling is a second full-time job to him.
Yes, but ultimately, even if Bill Bedenbaugh, like even if that shell was impenetrable, even if he was just not a people person whatsoever, it really wouldn't matter. He'd still be able to recruit on a pretty solid level because he's been so successful over the years that his resume recruits itself. But Todd Bates, man, he does have a resume too. But his people skills, his interpersonal skills have enabled him to serve as a very, very successful recruiter at both Clemson and Oklahoma over the better part of the last decade. Big Boganowski, Mike Sr., chimed in on the text line and said, Mr. Boganowski here, Coach Bates is the closer.
Amen to that.
I'll take it from somebody that has been through the process and sat in those living rooms with the OU staff. He probably knows a thing or two about it. Okay, folks, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. More OU Crootin talk coming up next. Several blue-chip prospects have cemented OVs with the Sooners in the last 24 hours. So a lot of news to run down. Very important decision coming up on Friday from a top OU target down in the Sunshine State. We'll break that down and much more on the other side. Keep it right here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans. We'll be back.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Big wins are blooming across Riverwind Casino.
And the jackpots have never been sweeter.
Go all in on your favorite table games.
Hedge your bets on the biggest wins and unbeatable entertainment.
Use your wild card for the best perks and the top rewards.
And play for your share of the $100,000 Lucky May Days giveaway. Win with the best.
And we'll see you at Riverwind.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
So you want to create your future.
Discover a path worth traveling down? Find a career to get excited about. For decades, Moore Norman Tech has been training talented, skilled individuals, empowering them to step into a career that fuels not only their life, but the Oklahoma workforce. These individuals are the heartbeat of this state's economy. Individuals just like you. Create your future today at Moore Norman Tech.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money, they're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress, we'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
Buying a mattress can stress people out. Pushy salespeople, high prices, the whole deal. That's why you need Adam and John Curtis at Mattress by Appointment. They're a father and son team and fellow Okies with locations in Norman and Chickasha. If you're in a hurry and on a budget, they make it simple. Same-day delivery and just $10 down to finance. No gimmicks, no pressure. Just good people helping you sleep better. Call or text 405-956-2161. That's Mattress by Appointment. Family owned, local, and just a call away.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton here with you on Locked In. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Quick update from the SEC baseball tournament down in Hoover, Alabama. Oklahoma leads Kentucky 3-1 in the top of the fifth. Really solid start for freshman southpaw Jaden Barfield. He gave the Sooners 4 really good innings, only allowed the single run, and just gave way to another lefty in Jamie Hitt out of the Oklahoma bullpen. So we'll see if he can maintain the lead there for the Sooners down in Hoover. But things looking good for the program so far today. Jason Walk with a 2-run homer that is the difference in the game right now. Again, 3-1 in the top of the fifth. The Sooners lead the Wildcats in the first round of the SEC baseball tournament, and Hitt just struck out the first batter he faced. So, there we go. Grayson,
Parker,
we have news, and lots of it. Rather piecemeal news, I suppose. An update here, an update there. Nothing super in-depth on any of these guys, but merely news that they have scheduled official visits. This was very, very fully expected. But Dallas Dickerson, the outstanding wide receiver from the state of Georgia, has locked in an Oklahoma official visit, which we were just talking about this OU-Kentucky matchup in the SEC baseball tournament. Dallas Dickerson actually bumped Kentucky from his OV slate in order to accommodate the Sooners. So he will be in town June 6th through the 8th. Coincidentally, very same weekend as Bo Bentley. So I guess you can hope those two hit it off.
Yeah, I think they will.
Why is that?
Moving on.
On that same note, I
wasn't even thinking about that until you started laughing at me.
On that note,
oh gosh,
another guy that has scheduled his OU official visit for June 6th through the 8th, 3-star tight end Tyler Ruxer out of the state of Indiana.
Tres Leches.
Maybe. That's what I say. Maybe he and Dickerson and Bentley will all hit it off that weekend in Norman.
I'm not going to say that.
Tres Leches. Brilliant work right there. Ruxer's a guy, obviously, that was just on campus this past Friday for an unofficial. So he's checked out Oklahoma, seen the sights, decided, yep, I need to come back for an official. Now, the other schools that are heavily in the mix for him right now are Northwestern, Minnesota, and Duke. I'd say you like your chances against those schools, right?
You would think.
Iowa is on the offer sheet. I'm not sure how much traction there is between Ruxer and Iowa. And Iowa, for a tight end in particular, is one of those schools that you would worry about. You're not really worried if you're battling Iowa for a quarterback or a safety or even a wide receiver. But tight end is one of those positions where there is a strong, strong tradition of excellence.
I mean, that's tight end you right now.
It can certainly be argued. Notre Dame has a case. Miami probably still has a case, but yeah. Iowa, particularly with George Kittle at the top of his game right now at the NFL level.
Hawkinson,
they have
Laporta.
a lot. They have a lot to sell to tight ends. And yeah, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta, two more guys that made themselves a pretty good living and are widely considered among the top 10 tight ends in the professional game right now. So, Tyler Ruxer going to be on campus June 6th through the 8th as well. And then June 13th through the 15th, right? It was supposed to be Bo Bentley's weekend. Before yesterday, that was the weekend that Bo Bentley had scheduled for his official visit to Oklahoma. He was supposed to be the only official visitor that weekend. He was going to be the one and only. And then, of course, he changes the plans, decides to move both the LSU and OU officials. Now he's coming June 6th through the 8th. But there will be one official visitor on the 13th through the 15th. Oklahoma, rather than hosting Bo Bentley that weekend, they're not just going to take the weekend off as a staff. They will be welcoming four-star running back Dezayfin Walker to town. Dezayfin Walker had Notre Dame on his OV slate for quite a while, but Notre Dame recently filled up. They got commitments from Javian Osborne, four-star running back down in Forney, Texas, and then four-star running back Janaz Walton from the state of Georgia. So they are no longer in the hunt for a running back. The beneficiary of that reality is Oklahoma, because Dezayfin Walker no longer has need to go see Notre Dame on June 13th through the 15th. He is no longer a take there, as they are full. And so it is Oklahoma that will host him on that weekend. They're battling Kansas, Kansas State, and Nebraska. That is the final four for Walker. OU, Kansas, K-State, Nebraska. Nebraska gets the last shot. I would say they are regarded by consensus right now to be the leader. And as we know, there's a lot of money up there in Lincoln, and the Huskers have used it repeatedly over the last several cycles to flex on OU from time to time. Now, that said, I like the way this sets up for Oklahoma with Dezayfin Walker, Grayson, because he has never been to the University of Oklahoma, not once. And so, if it's going to be his first and probably only trip to Oklahoma before he makes a final decision, what you would like is for him to be the sole priority, get to feel like the guy when he steps on campus at Oklahoma. So, given that he might not be the only guy for whom this is reality, but he's probably the most high-profile guy that is taking his very first visit to Oklahoma during OV season. I think it's a pretty nice arrangement for the Sooners just to be able to focus all of their efforts in concert as a staff on that weekend towards landing Dezayfin Walker.
I see where you're coming from. I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
I think in a way that could be a positive, but I do think there's value in having a kid on, even if he is a priority. I think there's value in having him on campus with other people, with his peers, because when you get to OV season, when you're locking in OVs, and I know the OV slate is not as exclusive as it used to be, where you can only take 5, but that means you're having a bunch of kids on campus for whom Oklahoma has a real chance of securing. So if you can get him on campus and talk to those guys and relate to those guys and talk about their positive experiences with the staff and with the program and with the campus and whatnot, I do think that can elevate you more than if he's on campus by himself. Also, I mean, it's the middle of summertime too. College campuses are a ghost town.
Yeah, they are.
In the middle of June. So You're right. I think there is a positive effect that could come out of it, but I don't know if I would put so much stock into that, especially because it's his first time there.
Mm-hmm. And he will get time. He will get to spend time around the team. The team all, I guess, what do they do? What's the word I'm looking for? Reunite? That seems overly simplistic. Not the exact word I was looking for, but I guess it fits here. They all reunite in Norman at the end of this month. The guys, I believe, aren't much more than a week away from all getting back to campus and kicking off team activities for the summer. And so they're all going to be around. He'll have a player host, as every official visitor does. So he'll get to spend time around the team and some guys that I guess could loosely be considered his peers. But you're right, double-edged sword, right? There's probably a case to be made that you'd rather have a guy in town on campus alone where he can be the sole priority and sole focus, but there's also a case to be made that he's better off being around other recruits and getting to have that experience around other guys his own age. So this is the path that Oklahoma has chosen with Dzathan Walker. We'll see if it works out. To be honest, I think it's going to take a lot regardless to be able to pull this one off during OV season. I do think he is a lean to Nebraska right now. If I were to make a pick right now today, I would probably pick the Huskers.
So where do we go from here?
At running back?
Yeah.
Now, okay, so I'll say this. At running back and at cornerback in particular, the Sooners are more than willing to be patient. They are willing to wait this out. Even if they don't have answers as to who they really like or who they really want in May, they're confident that, camp season rolls around, they get in-person evals on some guys, and then if it takes this long, when these guys' senior year rolls around in the fall, there will be late risers. There always are. And I think of a guy like Toby Hostrup down at Maid Creek in the Houston area last year that had never before played football before his senior year of high school, had 5 sacks in his very first game, wound up getting 20, 25 scholarship offers over the next couple of weeks, signed with Oregon ultimately. But it can work to your advantage just to have room for a late riser or two. And running back and cornerback seem to be two positions where Oklahoma is okay counting on the questions to kind of answer themselves eventually. It's not a year where Oklahoma has to display a sense of urgency in recruiting cornerbacks because nobody is aging out after this season.
Yeah, I saw that on OU Insider, and I 1,000% agree with that.
Like Gentry Williams, he's a guy where if he has a good enough season, okay, maybe he makes the jump to the NFL because he does, he has NFL traits, he has NFL measurables, he has NFL ability. If he stays healthy for a full year and it all comes together, he's going to be somebody that goes into the offseason with legit NFL draft stock. But he's probably the only dude in that room that you would say, okay, there's a chance you lose him. Maybe you see a transfer out, a transfer to, I guess you always have to account for that possibility. But you should return the vast majority, if not everybody there in that cornerback room. So if you only take one, that's probably fine. I don't know if Oklahoma has room for more than 2. I think 2 is probably the max. Now, as one source within the Switzer Center pointed out to me the other night, look, ultimately, all these numbers are fluid because of the transfer portal.
Right.
I could give you a number now as to how many Oklahoma is looking to take at a given position, and the answer might be completely different in December depending on how the season has played out. So that's another area in which you never do know until you see games played and you start to get a feel for how the season's unfolding. Did we think Oklahoma was going to be in the market for a transfer portal quarterback at this time last year?
Good point.
So the season changes a lot with regard to our perceptions, our expectations, not just about the team collectively, but about the roster construction. OU baseball still leading Kentucky 3-1. They are now through 5 innings. Easton Carmichael got a hold of one, took it to the warning track and left. Did not quite have enough juice. So Sooners just missing out on a chance there to extend the lead. Still 3-1 Sooners. A 405 listener asks, have we made a pitch for Ian Premer, the very talented tight end out of Great Bend, Kansas? Oklahoma is not in his final 5. OU tried there. They tried. He wasn't into it. So Oklahoma's got a commitment from 4-star tight end Ryder Mix from down in Frisco, Texas. They're looking to add Tyler Ruxer, who is a guy that the Sooners like a lot.
As they should.
And there's a lot to like on tape. I don't know that he's completely gotten his due across the board from the recruiting services, but for instance, On3 has him ranked, I believe, number 169 overall in the nation. So people are starting to come around on the prospect that Tyler Ruxer is. Okay, folks, let's hit another quick break. Keep filling it up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. Much more ahead as we continue to check all of the boxes on the day's news when it comes to OU football and recruiting. Again, 405-651-3439 is the text line. We'll be back on the home of Sooner fans, The Ref.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
Memorial Day deals are here at Eskridge Honda. Save big and pay just $365 per month for a new 2025 Honda Accord Hybrid Sport. Or take advantage of rates as low as 2.49%. That's not all. We want to buy your car. Receive top dollar on any trade and save big during our Memorial Day deals. New location at 89th and I-35 or eskridgehonda.com.
$365 for 36 months. 10,000 mile lease. $39.99 down plus TTNL plus first month's payment due at signing. 2.49% after 36 months. WAC through Honda Financial Services. See dealer for details. Offer N6225.
Springtime in Oklahoma means a near constant threat of severe weather and prolonged time without electricity. Before the storm hits, we encourage OEC members to download the My OEC mobile app and turn on outage text notifications, so you can be confident that when your power goes out, so do we. Visit okcoop.org/outage center for storm prep tips, a real-time outage map, live updates, and more. At OEC, safe and reliable power is our mission.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
Dreaming of an escape? What about a relaxing escape to your very own backyard? Signature Custom Pools can turn your dreams into reality. Signature Custom Pools creates distinctive designs to fit your perfect getaway. Call Signature Custom Pools for your free design consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com and turn your backyard into your dream escape.
Are you looking for luxury apartments for rent in Norman? The Falls at Brookhaven offers stunning apartments and a well-maintained, calm atmosphere. Enjoy our landscaping, a swim in the pool, or take your pet for a walk in one of our 2 dog parks. Our spacious outdoor areas and state-of-the-art amenities will make this new home feel like a resort. All this can be right outside of your door when you live at the Falls at Brookhaven. Call our locally owned and operated community at 405-701-8233 or go online to thefallsatbrookhaven.com to view our spacious floor plans. Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All American Roofing today. All American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400.
It doesn't seem possible, but we're celebrating our 50th anniversary at Markham's Nursery this spring. Back in 1975, our family started our business down on the farm in Washington, Oklahoma. A lot of things have changed since then, but the honest and appreciative way Bill Industries serve their customers hasn't changed a bit. Seasoned gardener or just getting started, we can help make your landscape or garden a success. Come celebrate our 50th with the folks who know how to grow in Oklahoma, Markham's Nursery.
Markham's Nursery, just add the sun.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
So I was scrolling through Instagram today, as one does, and one of the things that just randomly came across my feed was a photo that was posted by one Brock Vandegrift. And it got me thinking, and it made me realize, I'll give you an analogy here, a very relevant analogy given recent events, none of which you guys listening know anything about, but of which I know a great deal. 2 of my ex-girlfriends have gotten married in the last 3 weeks, I think.
Oh, really?
Yes. So could not feel more differently about the 2 of them. Like the one, we were on good terms when we called it quits. I just kind of realized, you know what, we're not compatible enough. Not right for me. She'll be right for somebody. It's fine. No hard feelings. And, okay, yep, things worked out. She found the person that was right for her. The other one was, and I'm assuming still is, because I don't know how you reform that, complete psycho. Complete psycho. Like, the most mentally unstable, insane, manipulative person I've ever met.
Sounds like half the women I kicked it with in college.
Ugh. I don't know if I'm impressed or alarmed.
It's college.
It is college.
That's all I'm going to say.
How long did you, quote-unquote, kick it with these women?
These were nothing serious.
Okay, good. Okay. No, but I, did seriously date this psycho chick for 4 months.
See, you dating a psycho chick would never have crossed my mind.
Dude, it was during COVID. I was a different me.
Okay, fair.
I was a different me.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, no joke. But anyway, and I don't follow her on social media anymore. I don't keep up with her. It's been years. And so I noticed it through some social media posts from mutual friends that we went to college with. Oh, she got married. It's one of those things where you see that and you're like, somebody signed up for those problems?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes. And so it's kind of similar. I had a similar thought, or an adjacent thought, when I saw that post from Brock Vandegrift, because it made me realize there have been a lot of quarterbacks in recent years that Oklahoma has come close to getting and hasn't. And in hindsight, you're thinking, man, we really dodged a bullet, as opposed to, wish we had that guy on the roster right now. There's a lot of quarterbacks right now where, as an Oklahoma fan, you're looking in the rearview mirror going, thank God we did not end up with that guy. I mean, outside of Vandegrift, right, who, if Vandegrift never decommits and goes to Georgia, Caleb Williams does not wind up a Sooner.
That's a really good pull.
I don't know, and look, I don't know how much I buy all of what Carl, his father, has put out there as far as, we were going to walk on at Oklahoma anyway, even if Brock was still around. Really? I struggle to believe that would have actually happened. But Brock Vandegrift did decommit, and it opened the door for Oklahoma to go recruit Caleb Williams successfully. Malachi Nelson. Remember when Malachi Nelson was committed to Oklahoma?
Oh, that dude.
And was a 5-star?
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time he committed to OU, he was the number 1 player in the country. And, of course, everybody was bummed out when Lincoln Riley packed up and left for USC and took Malachi Nelson with him. Nobody is sad anymore.
Nope.
Jaden Rashada. I will never forget this. Jaden Rashada was at a 7-on-7 event in Houston. No, it was Dallas. In May of 2022. Just a little less than 4 months after Jackson Arnold committed to Oklahoma. He recognized me. He said, "Hey, what's up? You cover Oklahoma, right?" And I was like, "I do." And he said, "Man, that was my school. I was going to visit to Oklahoma in February, and I was going to commit. It was a done deal." And then Jackson visited, and he committed. And so, whatever, I got to go find somewhere other than Oklahoma now. And Jaden Rashada, again, one of those deals where, especially over the summer, there was a lot of discourse on this very text line and even on Locked In between me and Tyler at the time. Did Oklahoma make the right call choosing Jackson Arnold over Jaden Rashada? Because at that time, Arnold was a 4-star and a pretty highly ranked 4-star, but Rashada was a 5-star guy.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, Rashada commits to Miami, flips to Florida, is sitting in the airport ready to get on a plane to enroll at Florida. His dad won't let him leave because there are complications with the NIL contract. It all falls through. He winds up signing with Arizona State. Starts right off the bat as a true freshman, gets hurt, transfers once he realizes he's not getting his job back, goes to Georgia for a year, sits the bench, never sees the field, and now he's at Sacramento State. So once again, another one of those guys that there were plenty of OU fans that were somewhat justifiably asking, did OU really make the right call, taking Jackson Arnold as early as they did when Jaden Rashada was still on the menu, as it were? And here we are 3 years later, and no one is looking over their shoulders about what would have happened if Oklahoma had landed Jaden Rashada.
But with Jaden Rashada, though, I still think there's a lot to be written about him because, quite frankly, I don't think we've seen enough of him. He's thrown 82 passes as a collegiate. And that, to me, that's just not large enough of a sample size to know anything. Hell, he could have a really good year at Sac State, get back into the Power 4, and light it up in 2026.
He may. And I haven't given up the ghost on Jaden Rashada yet, man. There's still part of me that believes he's going to be something at the college level. Jury's still out for me on the Rashada experience, but it has not been great so far.
No.
It has not been super encouraging so far. And so I guess all that to say, if we're bringing this full circle back to current events, if Bo Bentley winds up choosing LSU, let it be known, if I haven't outright said this, I've heavily insinuated it. I'm pretty all in on Bo Bentley as a prospect. Man, he looks special. Everything about him looks and feels and seems special. He's a guy that's going to have a ton of success at the collegiate level, and he's a guy that's going to one day wind up playing in the NFL. Could Bo Bentley be the first guy in years that OU fans are actually sitting around 3-4 years down the road wondering, man, what if we had gotten that quarterback prospect?
I think it's possible, and especially with the way you just go back to Joe Burrow. Now, I know Joe Burrow was under the tutelage of Joe Brady, but the way that they have developed quarterbacks as of late has been pretty short of nothing short of spectacular, what they've done with quarterbacks. So maybe they always have good receivers, multiple. They've always got a pretty solid offensive line. They always have, for the most part, a complimentary defense. So maybe so. Maybe so. He seems like he's in a good headspace too, where he's not going to drown in the NIL situation too, which is, hamper the careers of some, Jaden Rashada notwithstanding. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think if they don't land him, that is a very distinct possibility. And the thing with him, more so than Vandegrift and Rashada, is that they're probably going to see him every year.
That's true. They will, in all likelihood. Maybe not every year, but they'll see him at least a couple times.
At least twice.
Yeah, as a starter. So, man, I hadn't even considered that reality, but it's true. At some point, if you don't land Bo Bentley, you're probably going to have to play against him.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last dang sucks we didn't get him type of quarterback? Please help me out on the text line if you can think offhand of who that is.
Yeah, text line, do your thing.
Because it's been a good long time since Oklahoma missed on a quarterback recruit that wound up being really, really good at the collegiate level. Unless I'm just completely spacing on something that's very, very obvious, nothing springs to mind. A 405 listener asks, who is Bentley competing with at LSU? So he'll be competing. Who's down there right now? Colin Hurley is down there at LSU. Who did they sign in the 25 class? I can't find.
Well, remember they had the commitment for Bryce Underwood, and then he flipped to Michigan.
That's right. Yeah, they had Bryce Underwood for a long, long time. Then he purportedly took that big NIL package and wound up there at Michigan. So did they take a quarterback? Did they take a quarterback in the 25 class? Doing some quick research, and no, it doesn't look like they did. So that probably heightens LSU's sense of urgency in pursuing Bentley because they didn't get a guy in 2025. And what's up?
They do have Michael Van Buren on the roster, who transferred in from Mississippi State.
Forgot about him. Forgot about Van Buren. Yeah, I like Van Buren.
I don't
love him.
They're probably taking him on as a reclamation project to see if they can get a lot more out of him, maybe after Garrett Nussmeier.
Perhaps. I don't think he's a reclamation project. He did start and played decently well for Mississippi State as a true freshman. So there's something there. That was a guy that Oklahoma actually offered and pursued in the 24 cycle. Not for very long and not very heavily. They were kind of zeroed in on Michael Hawkins. But, yeah, there was a time that OU and Michael Van Buren were definitely
And they've got some other quarterbacks on the roster, but I don't think anything that, they think too highly of. Basically, the situation boils down to this. Bo Bentley has a clearer path to playing quicker at LSU as it stands right now.
People are bringing up Jackson Dart on the text line. I was thinking more more like from the high school ranks as opposed to in the portal, but that's a good pull. I guess my response to that would be, and I don't know the answer, this is not a rhetorical question, I'm genuinely asking, would y'all rather have had Jackson Dart than Dylan Gabriel? Feel free to answer that on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Because
I'm going to guess most of the answers are going to say no just because of what happened at the Cotton Bowl that year.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, man, it's hard to even – I think what a lot of people will point to if you make the argument for Dart is he played really well in 2024. Look at how bad OU's quarterback play was in 2024. Well, who's to say that if Jackson Dart comes to town, he doesn't get the exact same treatment that Dylan Gabriel got, which is, hey, we're grooming Jackson Arnold. Let's just, at the end of the 2023 season, let's go our separate ways amicably.
Reform Sooner, did OU lose out on the quarterback that went to Nebraska? Are you talking about Raiola?
Dylan Raiola? They never offered Dylan Raiola. There was a time that Lincoln Riley was doing his due diligence on Raiola while he was the head coach at Oklahoma. That was all the way back in the fall of 2021, right before he left. But after Riley departed, Jeff Lebby and the new OU Brain Trust never recruited Dylan Raiola. Michael Hawkins emerged as their guy pretty early on. They went and locked him down. Florida Sooner says, rather have Dart than Dylan Gabriel? Hell no. Recruiting boomer. See, there you go. If I get Dart for 3 years instead of 2 with Gabriel, yes. And that's the one thing that kind of complicates the whole conversation is that you only got 2 years of Dylan Gabriel because of the ascension of Jackson Arnold. Would you only have gotten 2 years of Jackson Dart because of Arnold's ascension, or would Dart have started for 3 years at Oklahoma? A lot of what-ifs, a lot of hypotheticals. Who knows? Recruiting Boomer says, what about Quinn Ewers?
Oh boy.
Did OU go after Quinn Ewers? I'm trying to think. That would have been when Riley was still here. I don't think they did.
Quick question for you that we can answer. Blake from Owasso, is Jordan Clay going to take an OV? Where does OU stand there?
Ooh, yes, he is going to take an OV. ChampU barbecue weekend. He's a top 100 prospect in the nation. I believe the number 6 wide receiver in the country per our rankings at Rivals. I like Baylor for I almost said Jackson Dart, for Jordan Clay right now. I do think the talented wide receiver from the San Antonio area winds up at Baylor. At least as of now, Oklahoma will have the chance to change his mind during OV season, but I do consider Baylor to be the leader there. Kind of odd, isn't it, that you'd be battling Baylor of all schools for a national top 100 prospect, but hey, that's the nature of the game now these days, man. Can no longer be surprised.
No.
When you're battling what would, by consensus, be considered an inferior football brand, because NIL is and has been and probably will be the great equalizer. But on that note,
I mean, we did talk about SMU a lot in the last couple
we got
of
a
weeks.
lot to dig into regarding the future of NIL in college football tomorrow. So there's a lot to look forward to on Wednesday's show. We'll be back then, same time, same place here on Locked In. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman take over next on The Rush. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner